Edge Radio.
It's Edge Radio Australia, and what do you know? We are sitting on the hot seat today with this beautiful lady, and I hope everybody embraces themselves because this lady was already told before she even met me that she was going to go on radio. And here she is. So let's speak to this beautiful woman, Christine.
Hello, how are you going?
And it's so good to have you. And can I just get you to bring your mic up a little closer to your mouth, Christine? That's amazing.
Yep.
And we're going to be talking about how to unlock spiritual gifts and trust your intuition. And so let's start off with a preface of obviously how you tuned into the fact that you already had a transmission about coming on radio.
Everyone gets their messages, but generally through life we're very distracted with work, with socialising, with the gym. So we're doing 100 things. We're not sitting still enough to actually hear our messages.
Right.
But we all actually are getting them all the time, but it's just being in that state of stillness to actually hear them.
Wow. So you believe that everyone has this kind of inner knowingness and this intuition, and the only reason that many people perhaps can't hear it is because they're blocked through their noise?
That's right. That's exactly right. So when you're being too busy or you're a workaholic or drugs, alcohol, all different factors cause roadblocks. So when you've got a roadblock, that sort of stops your messages coming through clearly. So it's just about sitting in stillness, aligning, making sure your chakras are aligned so that you can actually align and hear the messages. So that's really important. So we've all got guides, helpers and teachers in spirit, but it's just a matter of being able to communicate with them, just like I'm sitting here talking to you.
Yeah.
And then you'll have people in spirit talking to you. So you could have family members, guides, all different people.
Okay, so let's just preface this. So Christine is a gifted healer, comes from a family of mediums and psychics. So let's go back to the very beginning of when you discovered you had a gift. So what were some of the signs that I guess you knew you were different?
Probably about 4 years old. Probably 9 months old. I think the family knew I could speak 3 languages fluently at 9 months old before I could walk.
No kidding.
So Mum was like, okay, she's a bit different. And it wasn't like cat mouse. It was like full conversations in 3 languages. Mum was like, okay, this girl's a bit different.
Wow.
Basically about 4 years old, I realised, okay, I can still see everything. But children from 0 to 7 years old can see everything. It's generally after 7 years old that they become earthbound. And once they're earthbound, that's when they transition. And sometimes when they do see things, it scares them. So the nightmares or fear gets in, and that usually closes that door, and then they don't see after that.
Wow, that's so interesting.
It stays open.
So are you like their veil is lifted? So, you know, I know that from an NLP point of view, the neuroplasticity of a child's brain is a lot more open, supple, hence why they are learning. And interestingly enough, Christine, when I was 7 years old, I had a rather spiritual encounter. I can't say I have these kind of things that go on in my life a lot. But in this case, I saw a vision. And as a child, I woke up, I wasn't scared. It was almost like the aura or the outline of what my mum and I both say today was Jesus.
Yes.
So it was like Jesus was standing there and, you know, showing me, you know, his aura. And the very next day I told Mum, and she said she'd seen exactly the same vision. So that was kind of, I totally get that. So, okay, so if everybody's got this gift, when did you start using yours?
I started using mine. I started about 18. I thought, I might study astrology. So I studied astrology for 2 years with the amazing Warwick Sayer. He's an amazing astrologer. And then he sort of said, look, I think your gift's a bit different. And I'm like, I don't want to leave the class because I'd found like-minded people, and it's very difficult to find like-minded people.
Yes.
And so then he said, no, you've got to do something else. And then a friend of mine booked a reading in for me, which I didn't even know what that really was at the time. And the lady, when I was going to leave, said, and I'll see you on Wednesday for Circle. And I was like, okay. Didn't even know what that meant. And 8 years later, I sat in Circle, and just you learnt something different each week.
So you kind of harnessed it. So you went from it being like an inborn, innate sort of a gift.
Yes.
And then you kind of opened it up. I guess it's a bit like, we all can open our gift up to whatever our zone of genius, hence the name of the show, the Genius Zone.
Yes.
So we can open up that gift. It's very interesting because my mother, who is a very, very strong Christian today,
yes,
and I actually warned her and said, Mum, I'm going to be having this talk with a lady today who is a medium and a psychic. The fact is that many years ago when I was a small child, my mother was also a psychic. And to this day, she has that same intuition as I do as well, only she became a Christian. So it kind of converted from the word psychic to insight and prophecy.
Yes.
And she still picks up a lot of things. And another thing too is that I found my intuition has become next level since my husband passed away, which was only in November last year. But it was as if the veil had lifted. But we can talk about things like that a little bit after. But let's talk about you actually solved a criminal case.
Yes, I did.
In the eastern states.
Yes, I did.
Through your ability. Can you talk us through that? Because that will be a very exciting story.
Well, I lived in Middle Brighton, which was quite a nice area on the beach, and I was actually walking home with a friend of mine. We just had coffee at the local coffee shop, and the whole way whilst we were walking, I kept having this feeling that someone was behind me, and I kept checking behind me, but I couldn't see anyone, so it was this like uneasy feeling.
Yep.
And unfortunately we were actually being followed from above, so we were walking on the path and this chap was following us in the bushes, but I could sense it, but I couldn't see him. And then just as we got to the stairs to head up to the road, he jumped out at us. My friend was 7 months pregnant, so I grabbed her hand and we ran up the stairs and we stopped traffic because we didn't know what he was going to do to us.
Yep.
So when he realised we'd stopped the traffic, he ran because all the cars stopped on Beach Road.
Yep.
And when I got home, I said to my friend, I should ring the police and report it, and I didn't, which was a mistake. I went against my gut feeling. And the next day I was driving home from work and my guide said, turn the radio on. So I just turned the radio on and I heard a young lass, about 20-year-old, had been held at knife point in the same cafe that we'd walked out of. And straight away it was just like there's no such thing as coincidence. And I just knew in the heart of heart, I thought that's the same chap. But I had a real good look at him because when he jumped out at me, I actually looked at him.
Right.
So I had a clear picture of him. It was dusk, but I still had a really good view of him. But unfortunately, because we hadn't rang the police the day before, when we rang Crime Stoppers, they sort of like, that could be just random. And I'm like, no, it was definitely him. And so they didn't really, the first time I called, they didn't take it serious. Then a few months later, it was on Crime Stoppers again, and I rang again and said, look, I definitely know who it is, and,
And I think, too, they become very wary about psychics.
I didn't say I was psychic.
A lot of people do, like the Gus Lamont case.
Yes.
The little boy, the 4-year-old boy that went missing very mysteriously, and there were so many psychics that and one of them was actually right.
So I didn't really tell them that. All I said was the incident that had happened. So what I did was I sat in meditation because it kept waking me up in the night. I was really concerned about it. I thought this person has to get off the streets.
Absolutely.
So I actually sat in meditation and got a clear vision of how he actually got to the destination by train and all the details.
Mm-hmm.
And then I rang back a third time and they didn't take it seriously. And then the fourth time, the detective was at our local police station. So I worked professionally. I went down and met him, and I thought it's probably better if I meet him in person.
Yes.
And then I gave him all the details that he came by train the day before, he was in the area, and hence carjacked a girl at knife point. And eventually they took it seriously, and they called me back, and I did a photo of what the man looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd forgotten about it because it's sort of you're busy working, and then about 2 months after I did the photo, the man drew up a sketch of him, and they do the eyes and all different things. And then I was actually at work and it was an unknown number, and they said, I just answered it. I thought, I don't know who that is, but I'll answer it. And it was the police officer, and he just thanked me they solved the case.
They solved it.
I think he wanted to ask sort of how I knew all the details, but he just said, oh, look, I don't know how you knew all that, but thank you very much.
Yes.
And you're right. And I'm was happy that, that,
and look,
he's off the street,
I think they do occasionally, forensics. They will occasionally bring people through, especially if they are well renowned. But I hear what you're saying. So number one, to open up that intuition, we've got to be in that nice, calm, clear and peaceful state.
Yes.
So the mind's got to be clear.
That's right.
And with that mind being clear, they say to meditate, they say to, allow yourself to be present so that you can tune in. And I have to say that I've been getting a lot of downloads myself. So since my husband passed away, and I've just had a download recently. I've had a lot, but this one came quite urgently, without any facts attached whatsoever.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, I decided I needed to act on it, and the time of it when it came. So I was kind of I had this intuition about someone very close to me that there was trouble, there was strife. And then I went to sleep, and then the next morning, and I still had it. And so I thought I can't just hold on to this, even though I had no facts. And that's what makes it harder. You have no facts.
It kept waking me up in the night as well.
You don't know for sure whether it's true or not. Interestingly enough, my mother and I discussed it with my mother, and we discovered it was true. Yes. And it was right to the point. We've got some questions, and I think, for people out there that are really, really wanting to tap into their own intuition, but please do, yes.
On what you said. So the most crucial, important part is if you do get messages, that about 80% of the messages are actually symbolic. They're not literal.
Yeah.
And this is where it can be, like between a good mechanic and a bad mechanic, a good medium and a bad medium. It's just differentiating your symbolic and literal messages. Because
that's
if you go to somebody and they do a reading and they say, you're going to, guess what, Terry, you're going to buy a new red car, because they say a red car, but the red car could be a vessel, a journey of love, to do with the heart and the car journey.
It's like dreams, isn't it? I love, as I became a clinical hypnotherapist, we did study a chapter on dream interpretation. And, if you dream someone dies, it's not literal. So it's not literally that someone or that person dies. It's that you might be dying to something that's going on in your life. that represents a closing chapter.
Death and rebirth.
Yeah,
cycle.
death and
It's just
rebirth,
a
a cycle. So, and it's interesting too, because even with the subconscious, I understand when people are sitting in the hot seat, they want to, quite often, because I tell them they don't have to tell me a lot of the content. It's interesting with reverse psychology that people want to tell you.
Yeah.
So you'll say, look, you don't have to go into it. And then suddenly they're telling you their most intimate secrets. But the reason, and I feel like it's attached here, the reason that it's not important to know content is because it's based on the subconscious and the above super consciousness, which is metaphoric.
Yes.
And symbolic. So it's more relevant to find out what is the feeling.
That's right.
So the feeling behind it, like, is it a feeling of a fear? Is it a feeling of helplessness? Or is it what that feeling is? Because the chances are, like what I was teaching in the workshop, people have probably had 1,000 different experiences, but somehow there's been some very significant ones. So can you tell us maybe a little story about, before we hit the road running with some of these questions,
Yes.
About how you have been able to see into someone's life and how it's helped someone, perhaps through your readings or through your mediumship, or maybe a story that will really enlighten the audience to really get hold of what you do?
Well, basically, you're giving people a guide of what their life is going forward, and teaching people that if we carry the past, we can't move forward.
True.
So forgiveness is our big one, making sure that whatever happened in our life, we have to let go of that to make space to move forward.
So true.
And expectations is another big one. Like, there's not many people, and it's a really hard thing to give without expectation. Like, when we give something, we're subconsciously always wanting something back in return. And if we learn to actually give from the heart and open the heart, and as opposed to giving with expecting something back in return,
that's amazing. That's amazing truths right there, because you can't give away anything you haven't got. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible, because, the forgiveness, all these things correlate with a lot of the teachings that I have, and making room for new things to come on in.
That's right.
So I always say to people, don't act quickly on, moving forward, like especially with a relationship or something significant. If you've just come out of one that's hostile or where there's a lot of hurt, because the chances are you're carrying that hurt, and then you're putting out that kind of signal.
And the thing that I get a lot of people, and they'll come in for a reading and they want to know, oh, am I going to, meet my, my lover, my, romance? Yeah. And I say, well, tell me 10 things about yourself. What are your 10 best qualities? And they, might get 1 or 2 or 5 and get really stuck. And I'm like, well, you've really got to spark the love in yourself before you can see that reflected back in others. So you really need to spark your own fire first and know who you are, center yourself, and then be equal, because you don't want to be in a relationship where you're not equal. It's really important that financially, spiritually, emotionally, on all levels, that we need to meet our equals.
Yes.
We don't want someone above us, but then we don't want someone below us either, because we don't want to be rescuing people, picking them up.
My gosh.
But then we don't want someone that's not, that's ego-driven. That's, the key to it is really balancing the soul and the ego.
I love that.
And that's, once you learn how to balance, you need your ego, because that's your egoic self. Without your ego, you can't be successful. You can't, have your house. You can't, have all the wants and needs. But you need the soul to balance that. If you're only driving in one gear, the car's going to end up going backwards.
Wow, I think everybody
So
needs to hear this.
you
So,
really
yeah,
need to
you've
make sure that and
yes.
relationships are the key. You have to have balance in a relationship.
Yeah.
You know, I'll have people come to me and they go, oh, my husband had an affair or my wife had an affair. I had no idea, and I call BS on it. Excuse the French.
Yeah,
Just speak a bit of
that's
French.
okay. You can speak French. We speak a lot of French around here.
Because I call them out on it, because there are signs, but you chose not to see them. And, you know, there's signs at the start as well.
Yeah.
But sometimes because we're lonely or there's all these other
we ignore
reasons,
the red flags.
we're ignoring the red flags.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, hang on, you're worthy of more than that, you know?
But aren't people also attracting in to their own existence, like a learning that they need to learn? Like quite often, if it's a sabotaging relationship, like there's something going on around my life at the moment where I can very much, it's not myself, but very relative. And it's you can see the pattern, and it's, why do people attract that same kind of situation? And I spoke to this person very recently, and I asked her, what is it that you need to learn? Because, you know, the soul needs to learn. It's like, if you look at it from a logical point of view, you take out a 17-year-old to learn to drive a car, right? You're not going to put that 17-year-old in the car and let them drive until they've learnt. So they need to learn, isn't it? So that's what I say to a lot of my clients. You know, if you've gone through these relationships that have scarred you and have hurt you and have pained you, first of all, you've got to take back your control.
Yeah. Yeah.
Secondly, you know, you can only command in the level of respect and love that you have for yourself.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
And I'm reiterating and paraphrasing what you said.
Sometimes, though, people don't understand that sometimes we could be carrying baggage, just not from this lifetime, but maybe one or two lifetimes before. So sometimes we have hooks and things like that. So with a combination of energy lift and EFT, I'll remove those hooks off the person so that they can start free. We, you know, forgiveness is the big one. There's a brilliant book by Colin Tipping.
Right.
So all of my clients get homework.
Yeah, that's
They never leave without homework.
This is beyond psychic. This is counselling.
But it's a bit of both.
Beyond, yeah.
So sometimes people will come in for a counselling session, they end up having a reading, or they'll come in for a reading and they end up having a counselling session.
Isn't that amazing?
So there's a very fine line, but there are lessons that we have to learn, and we need to understand, is this my lesson? And when something really bad happens to us, you know, death, divorce, you know, something really hard that we've had to deal with in our own life, we have to ask ourselves, what can I take out of that? How can I grow from that? How can I help others with that gift now?
Yes.
And at the time when you're in that situation, you don't feel like you can move forward, but it's only once you really start looking at, what have I learned from this? How much stronger am I because of this life lesson?
Yeah.
And, you know, death's a big one. When we lose someone, you know, we feel vulnerable and we feel like the victim, and why us? And then I always ask, well, why not?
Why not? You know, the why question, honestly, that is the first principle of mastering questions that I teach practitioners when they do NLP, and that is, please do not ask why if it's about your shiz. If it's negative, so why is this happening to me? Because you will go down the biggest rabbit hole known to man. Beyond.
I do have a story when you said, is there something that was life-changing? So one of my best friends, Pascal, her partner got severe cancer, and when I went to the hospital, I flew down to Melbourne to see him, and we sat there and he said, oh, why has this happened to me? And I said, well, why not? And I said to him in the hospital, I said, I can see you speaking in front of lots of people. Wow. You are going to change something really big by you having this experience. I've actually got...
I'm the same. Oh, my gosh.
Chill from head to toe. And out of the 42 people on his ward, Simo, his name is David, and out of all the people on his ward, only 2 people survived this particular cancer.
Whoa.
And he was one of them. And about a year ago, he got invited to speak in a big forum to doctors from all over the world regarding his survival, to raise money for new equipment for the hospital.
Amazing.
And he was the guest speaker.
Oh, my gosh,
and
that is
when
so
I said
good.
to him, like, because when he said, why did and I said, well, why not? You could, help so many more people through your story.
Oh,
and
yes, absolutely.
So it's like sometimes when we're in that, we can't see it, and then the doors open and we're like,
yeah.
But, definitely you need to forgive yourself a lot of the time as well.
Yes.
Sometimes we're quite hard on ourselves.
Yes.
So
you were able to ask him the right question, why not?
Yeah.
What I will also recommend to people, which will give the same kind of, like, that is a massive outcome. Like, you discovering that he was there, it was a much bigger purpose than his dismal story that was happening in his own life. There was a much, much bigger picture.
That's right.
And that's why I always say to people, the what question, what is the purpose of this? Like, what is it that is in my future that I need to know now, and I need to get ready for combat?
But we don't always need all the answers.
True, not on the spot.
So sometimes,
not on the spot.
Sometimes, the journey will unfold at the right time as well.
Yes.
So it's about the intention. Once you put that intention, and, I really call BS on lots of people that, have all these excuses like poverty and this and that, because we've all got the desire or wishes to do whatever we want.
Yeah.
But we've got to own our own power to get that.
Absolutely, 100%.
And that's really important, because if you don't do that, then you're playing the victim role, like, poor me, and I can't get out of this poverty cycle. Or you can think, oh, I'm going to be successful. How's that going to spark a fire in me?
Yeah.
So
I love that. How is it going to spark a fire?
Yeah.
Like, wake up in the morning and say, what am I going to do today that's going to be, it's going to move the earth. It's going to change the world
one person.
for the better.
So I have hundreds of people come to me when I walk down the street, and people see me, and because we live in a small town, so
yes, so
a
you're
lot
famous.
of people know me.
So you're famous in your small town.
But they'll come up and they'll say, thank you, you changed my life.
Yes.
And it's just really giving them the tools that they already had.
Yeah.
But they were stored so deep that they couldn't get them out to use them.
Exactly. It's just, I love what you're saying. Here's me saying, well, we come from the psychic kind of gift mix ourselves in our ancestral lineage.
Yes.
And we've sort of become Christian. What you're saying is just so on point with what I believe, what I teach. Here's our first question. So this comes from, is it Janice? I believe.
Janice?
So Janice from LA. When intuition comes through for you, is it a feeling, a picture, or a strong knowing, a voice, or something else entirely? What a great question.
Excellent.
Because I would say that this woman, you probably know a lot about even neuro-linguistic programming. A lot of people that do NLP follow.
Yes.
So they understand about the senses of visual, audible, kinesthetic.
Yes.
So how would you answer that?
All of the above. So sometimes it's usually it's my guide speaking to me. So when I was driving along, like I said, I got the message, oh, you're going to be on radio. And I just like, oh, okay. And it's like having a conversation with my sister sitting next to me. But
so it was audio?
I can hear it.
It was audio, right.
But when I'm doing a reading, I will see the messages come through. So I literally can see it just like you sitting there. I'll see if the person sitting in front of me, if it's people on their mother's side of the family, they'll walk through on the left from where I'm sitting, and if they're from the father's side of the family, they'll come through on the right. But the thing is, when people come through from spirit, Sometimes they show themselves when they were at their prime. So they might have passed when they were 80, but they showed themselves when they were 27. And
Well,
so,
don't they say 33? I think they say Jesus died at
no,
33.
It's when they have their most, when they're feeling their best.
Peak.
So it can be confusing if you're not used to saying like, well, hang on, is there a 27? So you'll have to ask your guide, is he 27 or is he, well, his energy feels older.
So you see them at their peak.
They usually show themselves to you how they want you to see them.
Cheeky.
So you've got to then check with your guides. Okay, how old is this? You know, was it a grandfather? Oh, okay, he looks really young. Okay, he's showing him. Oh, he's a joker, and then he'll say a joke. I did have a gentleman come on the Gold Coast when I was working there. And he was a big bikey chap and he came for a reading. And as soon as he walked in, I got Lamingtons. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm not going to sit here talking to this bikey about Lamingtons. But the whole reading and went really well. And at the end, he was a big, tall chap. At the end, I thought, oh, I've got to give him this message. And I said, it might sound a bit odd, but I've got a message about Lamingtons. And he said, oh, my God. And he just broke down and cried because his nana always made him Lamingtons.
Is that right?
So you can't really take the messages. Sometimes they might not feel right or comfortable to give, but they will relate to that person.
Yes. So it probably would be a lot to do with feeling as well, like a gut feeling, but not necessarily like when I had this transmission come through, I swear my husband tips me off.
Definitely, 100%.
And I really, really, really felt it. It was very specific because I find myself asking the question, I'm not supposed to know that. How do I even know that? I don't even know that person.
Yeah.
You know, and it's and then when it's confirmed, I'm just gobsmacked.
Yeah.
But I do understand, you know, like I can tell if it was, for example, I can be a worrier. And I think a lot of us will get kind of plagued with the monkey mind. Definitely. And this is the thing where we need to differentiate between the monkey mind that is telling us stuff because, like, for example, I did a quote last week, don't always believe everything you think.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you're just thinking out of your own ego about what that person said or what is happening, you're making it up.
Yeah.
You're making up that story yourself, and that's having an impact on you. So that's where I believe determining what the difference between the monkey mind and your intuition is. Do you have any tips around that? Like, how do you know the difference between it being that ego part of us to this is a transmission?
Okay, it's definitely. So it's the first message that you get. So if I'm sitting here and I get the message, it's the first message that you get is your spiritual message. The second thought that you have after that first thought is your literal mind coming into play going, oh, hang on, that couldn't be right. So that's your thinking mind.
Yes.
And that's where the monkey mind gets confused. Like, hang on, I got this message, but I'm thinking this.
Yes.
So that's where you have that difference. So you've always got to trust 100% that first thought.
Right. It's interesting, isn't it? Because it's like I had, even to something that doesn't seem that relevant. You know, I'm booking a trip at the moment and I'm going to Bali in July. And then I wanted to look for somebody else, and it was actually my sister. And, you know, I found this flight and something said to me, no, I'm supposed to tell her about that. And, you know, we haven't been able to get anything close to it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like things sometimes just drop in your lap. But I took the words out of Bronnie's mouth. So Bronnie's from New Zealand.
Yes.
She's highly intuitive, and she wanted to know the same question, like, how do you tell the difference between genuine intuition and your own thoughts, fears, or wishful thinking? So I think if I was going to come back with something on that,
Yes.
if, for example, it was my monkey mind that had been leading me and guiding me recently in relation to someone close to me, I think I would have been in my usual state of panic.
Yes.
And I would have been overthinking, and I would have just been kind of in my own typical pattern that I can get into occasionally.
Yes.
Where this wasn't. I was very calm.
Yes.
It wasn't there. I wasn't thinking about it. And then all of a sudden it was there.
Yes.
And I went to sleep and I woke up and it was there again.
Yeah. Well, that's generally a message.
And
because it's your unconscious mind as well. So the difference between, all of your intuition is exactly the same. Your intuition does have fears, it has worries, so all of that is encompassed in your intuition. But the biggest key is trust. You have to trust your own gift. So if you meet someone within 3 seconds of meeting them, if you get a bad feeling, it's a no. Yes. Trust that. That's all I can say.
The first few seconds, you reckon?
Because when other people come into it and say, oh, no, they're okay, and you're like, well, hang on, I've got this funny feeling, and why am I feeling like this? So it's really about learning to trust yourself. And even with the gifts that I have, I've had situations where I didn't want to trust and I didn't want to listen. And, sometimes it's just silly things, or, it can be, we were going to a friend that's a medium, Cassandra, in Melbourne. We were going to the Mind, Body and Soul Fair, and we both took the day off work, so we were wagging work to go. She got a babysitter for the kids and the whole kit and caboodle. I jump up in the morning, bright and sparkly, look in the mirror, and I hear my guide saying, "You're not going." And I'm like, what? I'm going. I've taken the day off work. Cassandra's coming. We're off to this, great day out in town, Pick her up, and I don't tell her anything because I'm like, I'm not going to spoil our day. We're going, And I'm still ignoring this message that I had about 4 times in the mirror. And we get to the end of Beach Road, and it's like you can't see the ocean. There's a big cloud, and I'm thinking, oh, gosh, this is eerie. But I don't say anything. I just think, just like, oh, okay, just keep going. Turn the corner. We get all the way to South Melbourne. We're going to Jeff's Shed. And we're literally about 3 k's away from the venue, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, was just talking nonsense. We're going. And my friend screamed at the top of her lungs, "Stop the car." She screamed so loud, I just hit the brakes and pulled over. And I go, "What is it?" "I don't know. We're not getting in the car. Get out of the car." And I'm thinking, oh, my God, is my car going to blow up? What's happening? She goes, "We're not going." And I was like, it was so loud. And I'm like, and I didn't want to tell her that I'd already got the message in the morning because I was trying to ignore my own message. I'm like, I'm going no matter what. It's a Mind, Body and Soul Fair in Melbourne. It's exciting, I didn't want to miss it. But we ended up getting massages, and we took advantage of the day, but we didn't go.
Right. So you listened.
Oh, well, she screamed so loud, I stopped the car. We didn't get back in the car for like 12 hours. We were like, we're not getting in the car.
So follow your gut instinct. I'm even a great believer that if I get stuck in a traffic jam, or if I go down the wrong street and I end up in Timbuktu, as frustrating as it may be, I solve that frustration by immediately going, no, I'm on exactly the right path that I'm supposed to be.
That's right.
I was supposed to turn off on the wrong freeway because I don't know what would have happened on sliding doors if I had gone down the other side.
That's exactly right.
So, that's one of my little tips. Now, let's see. I think we've got one more, and then I believe that Christine's got something exciting in mind for us because she's going to draw a card.
Yes, we're going to do Dreamtime cards, which is Indigenous.
Actually, no, that one we've already had that one. So, Okay, I think we're right on time. So why don't we draw the card?
Okay. So when you're doing cards and things like that, the key and the most important part of giving a message is always making sure that you protect the space. So you always white light and protect the cards and the energy in the room.
And can I actually ask for God to be part of this?
Definitely.
Because obviously I believe in Jesus and God.
Yes, definitely.
And I respect every other religion. I go to Bali and it's the island of the gods, and it's an amazing place.
And when you were talking earlier about Christians and about mediumship, so if we look back in ancient Greek history, the mediums, prophets would sit higher in the land before religion came through.
Yes.
And so all religions then afterwards came through. But if you actually look really carefully into all religions, they all still do have, well, Jesus himself was a medium. So, so he came back through. Yep. So when you actually look at the ancient history of, mediumship and how things worked, ancient Greek times, like they used to predict the Olympics and things like that. So, but unfortunately, there was a little bit of confusion. All religions are amazing. So every religion has good things in it, but like people, they can be good and bad.
Yeah.
If you do something too much where we're still not balancing that soul and ego with religion or politics or whatever it is, that's when the balance can come. It's not balanced.
Yes.
So as long as you respect, I mean, I get a lot of Christian people coming
and the faith.
And it's just, but you're respecting yourself as well, because if you look at ancient history, getting messages and seeing people and dying is all part of living.
Yeah,
and it's just a fear.
I heard something the other day. We live to die.
Yeah.
And we are born so that we can die. Our bodies know how to die.
Unfortunately, people have fear.
And then when we die,
it.
we die to live. And
That's
so
right.
Christians will, understand, and people with faith will understand that there's something bigger and greater beyond.
That's exactly right.
But anyway, we're
there you go.
going low on time. So, I'm going to pull it. All right.
Yes. Oh, no, they're your cards. So you just shuffle those and pick out 4 cards.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Let's
What's
have
up
a
for
look
you today?
And is this going to be around me personally, or is it going to be?
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, we'll see. So no intention here whatsoever, but except that 1,
yes,
2, 3, 4. There you go.
Thank you.
Sorry, I've given 5.
I'll take the 5th one.
You want the 5th
yes.
one? Okay.
Yeah, there was a reason
for
that.
Okay, here we go. Drum roll.
So the first card, these are Dreamtime cards. They're very spiritual cards. They're from the Indigenous people. And the first message we have today is the gumnut blossom, and that represents contentment.
Oh.
So it's time now for you to feel that love and presence in yourself and to be content with the cards that have been dealt for you.
Mm-hmm.
As hard as that can be, sometimes
I am quite content, really, at the moment.
This is saying that more of that's coming forward for you. You're definitely travelling. We have the turtle coming.
Oh,
not
dear.
1 trip, but 2. So
I've just come back from Mexico and I'm off to Bali soon.
There's 2 trips. So one's crossing water. We have a trip on land as well. The sea turtle will guide you on that trip and be with you and head you and open the doors that need to be open on that journey.
It wouldn't happen to be down south by any chance, would it?
There's 2, yes. There's 2 trips. But one's like crossing water, so
well,
one's overseas.
My sister will be very interested to hear that one. So
yes, so she might be coming to visit.
Yes.
We do have the waterfall, which is the release card. So moving forward, we probably look at having session of possibly Reiki, to energy lift or EFT, just to remove, when we've got the waterfall card, it's suppressed emotion. So water is about emotion.
Right.
And with that, I always say to people, when someone passes away, it's like the ocean. One day you can feel calm and at peace, and the next day it's rough and rocky.
It's actually interesting you should say that, because everyone that's very close to me feels that I was really very good after my husband passed, and I surprised myself. The fact is, when he passed, it was a relief.
Yeah, of course.
Because we'd gone through hell. I'm not going to go into that story, but it was a very long and tough journey.
Yes.
So when he passed, I felt very much a unitedness with his spirit.
A blessing.
So, when, the week before he did, it was almost like I asked him for an impartation. I believe I received it.
Yes.
I believe that he taught me how to be a widow.
Yes.
And I was able to deal with that. But it seems like the further I'm getting away from the 12 months of sheer hell,
grief,
it seems like the more I'm going, where is he?
Yes.
Because I'm forgetting that 12 months of that journey, and all of a sudden I'm seeing him in pictures and I'm going, oh my gosh, where's he gone? Or I'll go to a place and I'll think, oh, I would have had him here with me.
Yes.
So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yes,
but thank you. I know we're right on time here now.
Okay.
So.
And movement, we've got the river as well, and we've also got surrender to the ocean. So lots of walking, lots of meditation, lots of you time.
Oh, okay.
So instead of giving to everybody else, the message here is that it's time to give to you.
Well, that's very interesting, because I do feel like that has definitely been more the case over the last 6 months.
Good.
That's amazing. So, Christine, where can people find you? We're going to put your details in the show notes so people can contact you. But is there any place they can find you if they would like to have a session with you?
I'm on Facebook, so they can, I think it's Christine K. Jackson, Psychic Medium on Facebook.
Yep.
So they can just direct message me and have a phone reading. So usually half an hour or an hour, depending on what the client would like.
That's amazing.
I do in-person office as well at my office in Hall's Head, but generally just the regulars that I've because I am opening a new healing studio next year.
Oh, that's exciting.
And I do a few workshops a year, so just keep looking on Facebook.
Yes.
So we've done a few workshops. I've got a few other facilitators as well that do chakra workshops and healing and different workshops.
That's very exciting. So if you're in Perth, WA, come on down. And we might have to do a collaboration.
Yes, it'd be fantastic.
I feel a collaboration coming on, because I love a lot of the teaching that you've talked about today. I think it goes beyond even the spiritual. There's a lot of logical stuff in there, the forgiveness, the loving on yourself, and
one last thing I do want to say about death is that because it's such a big topic and we don't talk about it, and it's something that we need to talk about, that it can be such a blessing and it can be such a gift from the person that's passed, and we don't look at it like that. So my mum passed at home at our house, with us at home, and I found that it was such a spiritual gift to have that in our home.
Yeah.
Where people are scared of death. They're like, oh my God, you died in your house, and they're really and I'm like, no, it's a natural thing. It's just like birth. It's so the more that we can feel comfortable with talking about it, the more we realize it's actually a blessing.
Absolutely. I cannot agree with that more.
Yeah, and that's something
I knew that my husband's spiritual element was far more important than his physical.
Definitely.
Toward the end. And I say that in the last 6 months I knew him, I fell in love with him all over again.
Yes.
And I fell in love with his soul.
Yes, definitely. And they're always with us. So, and they'll always send us a symbol. So
Yes.
you'll see something like my niece is a dragonfly or white butterfly. So you'll always have a symbol.
Yes.
You know, the willy wagtail is,
You know what it is for him? It's two birds and they're usually singing. It's like serenading.
Definitely.
And he serenaded me on my wedding. Christine, thank you so much for coming on board.
Blessings.
And it's been a blessing to all of us. And that's it from us, Edge
Thank you.
Radio.